Everyone can be seated. Good morning. I'm Dean John Clapp. Welcome to Commencement. We are incredibly proud to celebrate the accomplishments of the USC Suzanne Dworak-Peck School of Social Work class of 2019. This ceremony brings together the school's doctoral programs, the PhD and the DSW. Later on today, we'll be celebrating our master's programs. In all of our programs, we have students from all over the nation and the world. You are a mighty force for social good in our society and globally. Together, we have a great mission, a calling to make a better life for all. This celebration would not be possible without the love and support of family members and friends. Graduates, please stand up and honor those who supported you with a round of applause. I would also like to recognize the dedicated faculty and staff members who have mentored and supported the class of 2019. Faculty and staff, please stand and be recognized. Before we proceed with the speeches and awarding of degrees, I want to thank you for keeping the aisles clear at all times. I know we have many proud family members and loved ones here today, but for everyone's safety, please stay in your seats and out of the aisles. I'd like to let you know that we have a professional photographer that's going to take a picture of every single graduate, so you will have an opportunity to get those photos and no need to get up. I will now ask our administrators and announcers to prepare to receive the class of 2019. Graduates, when you are prompted, please come to the stage with your name card. As you return to your seats, you'll receive a special gift from our alumni office to welcome you into the alumni community. We will first confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work, followed by the Doctor of Social Work. Please welcome the Chair of the PhD program, Michael Hurlbert.
Thank you, Dean Clapp, and congratulations to all the graduates, families, friends, and loved ones. Today we come together in part to celebrate the graduation of 5 PhD social work scholars. These are 5 compelling women in science who are passionate about social justice, and we've come to appreciate their life force, their energy, and the values, talents, and independent initiative they carry into the world. Although it might not be obvious, doctoral studies hold a unique place within the educational and broader social landscape. In a funny but very real way, a primary goal of PhD programs is to create the next generation of social work scholars to ensure the continued stewardship, progress, and the impact of the social work discipline itself. And this is a discipline, as you all know, that is responsible for many of the social accomplishments we almost take for granted at this point today. So this is our big agenda. The development of research-oriented scholars in social work involves a lot more than coursework. It involves continuous and diverse mentorship from faculty, combined with opportunity, increasing levels of responsibility and freedom, and ongoing encouragement for these scholars. The purpose of reproducing stewards of the social work discipline is not to recreate copies of ourselves as faculty members, but instead to develop and inspire truly independent scholars who can critically assess the world around them and strategically use their energy, their life force, to lead research that results in positive social impact. And what we ask of them is not an easy job. The social injustices we live with often are intertwined with powerful and entrenched interests. As we know, sometimes injustice is enmeshed in traditions, structures, and belief systems that are so ubiquitous that sometimes it can be difficult to see them and to critically resist and change them. Marginalization, isolation, discrimination, oppression often change disguises through time, through known channels such as wealth, access to information and opportunity, power, and social influence. Knowing that social challenges are not easily undermined, what then is required of these scholars? Ideally, they must be able to track the changing social and historical currents of their time, this time. Social work scholars ideally need to think strategically about how to use their own energy in ways that can directly inform social change or shine light on and undermine support for social norms, policies, and laws and practices that reproduce injustice. Social work scholars think through multiple lenses from micro to macro, and they draw connections between them. And to cap my list, because every social era is different, social work scholars must have the intuition and independence to locate and recognize their own personal opportunities for contribution. Although it's not easy, this is how social work scholars and the social work discipline itself have helped to shape a more just society today and how we will contribute to a better tomorrow. You won't be surprised to know that I view doctorates in social work, all of you, as the social science degrees for today's world, the degree for today's world. More people, fortunately, now understand that social injustice is inherent in our systems. Social work scholars illuminate these issues through their research and help to develop effective solutions. The tide of science that occurs on populations is giving way to research that occurs in partnership with invested communities and constituencies. And social work scholars have always done this. Universities are more concerned, as they should be, than ever before about their active social roles and responsibilities. And social work scholars like these graduates have a core ethics and values base that can help others to think clearly about how to fulfill their roles and responsibilities. I'm incredibly proud to celebrate the graduation of these new PhD social work scholars who have the qualities that I've noted. The independence, the tenacity, intuition, and scientific training to take on today's important social justice issues and make the world a better place. In fact, as many of you know, these scholars are already doing that. They're already involved in that mission. So for those of you graduating, I truly hope that you carry your values and perspectives proudly into the work that you do. Understand the importance of what you bring to every single table that you come to. Mentor and train others and go forth and do great things. So fight on. At this point, I'd like to invite Dean Clapp to receive this year's doctoral candidates. Candidates, when your name is announced, come forward and be hooded by your dissertation chair or co-chairs. And once you are hooded, Dean Clapp will receive you. The first person that I'd like to invite up is Dr. Kathleen McNamara, and her dissertation chair is Dr. Carl Castro. Next, I'd like to invite up Dr. Lizbeth Gaona, whose dissertation chairs are Concepcion Barrio and Anne Marie Amada. And next, I'd like to invite to the stage Dr. Rebecca Langnick Hall, and her dissertation chair is Dr. Michael Hurlbert. Woohoo! And next, I'd like to invite to the stage Dr. Carissa Fenwick, whose dissertation chairs are Dr. Larry Palinkas and myself, Dr. Michael Hurlbert, and Dr. Palinkas will do the honors. Work. Okay, and finally, I'd like to invite Dr. Jaya Craddock, whose dissertation chair is Dr. Eric Rice. Please join me in congratulating this exceptional cohort of new PhDs. Congratulations. It's now time to confer candidates for the Doctor of Social Work. Please welcome the chair of the DSW program, Marvin Southard.
Dean Clapp, distinguished faculty and staff, esteemed graduates, and valued family and friends. Do you ever get a song stuck in your head and then it's hard to dislodge? I had this experience recently with Cosmo Sheldrake's song, Come Along, which I, like many of you, heard as a part of an Apple commercial. The song urges us to go to a place that is safe from greed, anger, and boredom. Greed, anger, and boredom. Maybe besides the infectious tune, this song stuck with me because it speaks to issues afflicting our society today, moving individuals, families, and communities out of the path of greed, anger, and boredom has been one of the goals of social work since its inception. I know many of the innovations in the DSW capstones have had precisely this effect. But instead of talking anymore about greed, anger, or boredom, let's talk about three words that are the hallmarks of our celebration today. The words are gratitude, pride, and hope. First, gratitude. Let's all thank the distinguished faculty and expert staff who have strengthened the program's intellectual content, the student experience, and its impact in the world. Next, I would like to thank the capstone advisors who have worked continuously with these graduates to build capstone projects that are both innovative and practical. Next, I would like to thank you, DSW graduates. You have been patient and flexible as we have used your feedback to improve the program. You have been an inspiration to us as we have watched you develop brilliant ideas, support one another, and cope with all of the complications that life can offer. And then most of all, let's thank the DSW graduates. But most of all, I would like to express deep gratitude to all of you, family and friends. As wonderful as our DSW students are, they could not have successfully reached this day without your help and constant support. So thank you, family and friends. The next word is pride. This time last year, we graduated our first cohort of DSW students. We dubbed them the Sweet 16. This year, we are graduating 3 more cohorts. We were very proud of the achievements of our Sweet 16, and we wondered if subsequent graduating cohorts would be able to match their level of accomplishment. Not to worry. It is the consensus of the faculty that those of you graduating today have matched and surpassed the achievement of our initial pioneers. Some of your capstone projects are striking in their innovative quality. Some have already received funding in the millions of dollars. And some students who are already in leadership roles have been promoted sometimes multiple times because of the quality of their ideas. And all of the graduates have produced a capstone product that will make a difference for the people in the world. So DSW students, we are so proud of you. And finally, hope. When we dreamt what the DSW program might be, we had some high hopes. We hoped that it might be a vehicle to address the grand challenges that face our society. We hoped that it might be a way to equip social workers with the tools for management, leadership, and innovation that would allow them to take leading roles in organization and to make sure that social work values were reflected in those places. We hoped that the practical capstone projects might serve as the action research component of our field's intellectual advancement. We also hoped that the science of social work skills that we taught our students would enhance their practice even beyond the particulars of their capstone projects. All of these hopes have begun to be realized, and all of us at USC are committed to seeing these hopes all fulfilled. In conclusion, let me just say, DSW graduates, with the support of your family and friends, please use the tools we spoke about today: our gratitude, our pride, and our hope to move the world closer to a place safe from greed, anger, and boredom. Fight on. I would like to invite Dean Clapp to receive this year's doctoral candidates. Candidates, when your name is announced, come forward to be hooded by me and co-chair Nadia Islam. Once you are hooded, Dean Clapp will receive you. I'd like to welcome Associate Dean Carrie Liu to announce the DSW candidates.
Rocio Martinez Terry. Alberto Lopez. Blas Villalobos. Jillian Barba. Adela Cruz. Laura Shirk Witkoff. Amber Marie Oliver. Rory Crossan. Desiree Ann Jane Cohen. Bayla Drucker. Monique Melissa Simoy Worrell Oriola. Christy Combs. Danusha De Silva Carrasco. Jacqueline Guevara. Adriana Anita Gonzalez. Angela Benvenisti. Brian Franklin Gaines. Lee Robin Velez. Robert Anthony Hernandez. Lamont Dwayne Green. Shantae S. Coleman. Tiffany Renee Dukes. Tiffany Renee Saucer. Ashley Janae Carver. Carmen Stevens. Ashley Latrice Cochran. Nereida Carrasco. Sophia Lee. Stephanie Christie. Matthew Ring. Willinda Leonard. Lynette Jenkins. Claire Severin Foltz. Maricela Bangladesh Aceves. Ian Farwell. Carla Hernandez. Catherine Kramer. Lisa Marie Kleckler. Kimberly Giardina. Olga Panarina. Alex Lee. Billy Bible. Huh? No. They might fire me. Jimmy Dwayne Fedrick. Angela Louise Flowers. Dion Yvette Ash. Melissa Castro. Elda Luna Nahera. Eunice Juarez Horta. Juan Menchaca. Intisar Shamoun. Brenda Weewell. Michelle Lee Stropshire. Amy Ann Ward. Destiny Michelle Schaefer Morgan. Julie Lehuanani Oliveira Payton. Jennifer Sheffield. Stephanie Thompson. Stacy Phillips. Samantha Saul. Julie Harbute. Jessica Agudelo Benito. Natalie Ann Lanham. Francie Jenko. Michelle Clark. Jessica Felix Yeager. Jeannie Kim. Jessica Louise Hare. Laquetta Anderson. Tiffany Llewellyn. Shamika Stokes. Ana Alvarez Amaya. Glennis Carolyn DeShield Andrews. Oliver James Davis, Jr. David Yim. Everett Marquis Faison. Michelle Magruder. Kimberly Nicole Moten. William Morris Coombs III. Lieutenant Nikima Tangerine Lurero. Dayanara Marte. Sharon K. Davis. Juliana Bot Salau. Nadine Momoyo Diaz. Suzette Douglas Jones.
Congratulations, class of 2019. All graduates, you may now turn your tassel from right to the left side. I now present to you the class of 2019 for the USC Suzanne Dworak-Peck School of Social Work. With the turn of that tassel, you are no longer a student. You are now an alumna or an alumnus of the school. As one of our school's graduates, you join a network of more than 18,000 social work and nursing nurses around the country. This is your network, and it offers you meaningful benefits and resources. Take this opportunity not only to stay in touch with the school and each other, but your profession as well. You'll find more details on how to stay in touch with us in your diploma cover. I want to thank you all for being a part of this major milestone in your lives and careers. I hope you'll join us at the reception, which is right back here at, well, I'll give you the official name, Pardee Way, right behind us right after this. Congratulations once again, and fight on.